Hi, welcome to Food for You. Today we are going to be learning how to make ground pork teriyaki bowls. I'm your host Jada, and each week I show y'all how to make a new meal. Maybe not each week, but I do show y'all how to make a new meal. Today you're going to need ground pork, rice, an onion or half an onion, snow peas, carrots, mushrooms, teriyaki sauce, and soy sauce, as well as some few other seasonings that will be sporadically introduced in the middle. Starting off, this is our affordable meal. So that is our main focus for this week. And affordability is a big thing for me, as whenever I was a kid, my family could not afford very much. So eating out and doing things like that were not always a accessible luxury for us. And that's okay. That's something I've grown up on. It's something I understand. It's something I love. And cooking at home has definitely made, being able to get those foods that you could never go out and buy because they were too expensive, it makes them easier and more accessible. So I actually have rice already boiling on the stove and it's covered. I pre-washed it and everything. And then I have a chopped onion over there with a little bit of olive oil also cooking so that we can go ahead and get it cooked before I add the pork. Okay, and so I wanted to go ahead and bring y'all over here to the onions that we're cooking. And we are just going to let these cook for a little bit longer. And while these cook for a little bit longer, I'm going to tell y'all some funny family stories from whenever I was a kid. And, how that affected my relationship with food and everything else. So growing up, we did not have a lot of money. And so we were always, being told how to stretch meals and make things exist out of things that weren't there. And as an adult, I've taken a lot of that with me because, it is hard. It is genuinely hard, trying to cook and everything else every day, but also be able to afford it. It's hard being able to afford food, and that I understand. And so I'm going to go ahead and add part of our ground pork in. They all have 2 packets of this. They do make up a pound in total, or a little bit over a pound in total, but it was just what I had. Okay. So growing up, my mom always made Kraft mac and cheese, and she could stretch a giant family box among my whole family tin, and it was amazing. To this day, I'll never know how she did it because I absolutely could not do that. But I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to kick you. But everybody has to do different things at different times, and maybe one day I'll learn how to stretch mac and cheese that far. But at Christmas, we would always get a specialty meal, same thing like Thanksgiving. So like holidays are big for us. And birthdays were another big thing. And my great-grandfather loved Chinese, Japanese food, all of it. And he loved going to hibachi restaurants. It was his favorite thing to do. And so we would always go to a hibachi restaurant or something for his birthday or near it. And as we got older, we went more often. Also, the onion, I was sauteing it on a medium heat, and the ground pork, I'm also cooking it on a medium heat. Just as a heads up for those. And so this is more or less not a take on hibachi dinner, but it definitely has inspiration from it because it has so much meaning and everything else to me. So I am going to let that cook, and while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add some seasonings and sauces to it. What you're going to need is just basic salt and pepper. And I know I gave y'all measurements last time. However, this week we're just going to do our basic measurements. That was just kosher salt. I just added a little bit of in there. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper in there. Obviously, not very much, not even the full teaspoon that we were adding to our meat last week. However, this is whenever it does get a little bit more flavorful. You are going to add about a teaspoon of garlic powder. And about a teaspoon of onion powder. Now, all of y'all might be wondering, don't you have to drain the grease off the meat? So ground pork actually tends to produce a little bit less grease than what ground beef does. And it will honestly depend on how much grease we have at the end of this. If there's not that much grease, I won't drain it. If there's a ton of grease, I will be draining it simply for health purposes and the fact of I don't want something that's going to be overly greasy. But I season my meat whenever I cook it because that's how you get the meat to take in the majority of the flavors. So, and I know I keep going back and forth from story time, but I am going to keep going back and forth from story time. So just as a heads up. So this has a lot of inspiration from, all of those times that we went to go eat out at places as a kid. And while Chinese and Japanese food is not my absolute favorite, and it's not, my preference, typically I do enjoy it and I will eat it. There are, some really great cheap Chinese food places near us that I love getting takeout from constantly. But while it is considered cheap Chinese food, whenever you're ordering for a lot of people or you all want different things, it can be very pricey, very expensive. So actually, our pork didn't produce that much grease at all, which is exactly what I expected to happen. And I'm going to get ready to add some teriyaki sauce to it. So the teriyaki sauce we're going to be using today is very, very teriyaki. And it ranges from about $2 to $5 depending on the size you get and the brand. You don't have to get this brand. You can use a different one. I forgot to shake it. I do enjoy this one the most, I believe. I think it already comes with a lot of the flavor in it. And that's what I want to see. So I used honestly, probably about a fourth of the bottle right there. And I probably will be using half of it just for how much I am cooking. And I like a very strong teriyaki flavor. If you don't, definitely season to taste and everything. However, this is definitely my preference for it. And that teriyaki absolutely changes the smell of it the second it gets in there. So, and it changes the color of it drastically as well. We'll go ahead and cut off our rice as it is completely done. If y'all can see that. That is what a done pot of rice looks like. I did cook it in a bigger pot because I don't have a pot big enough for this amount. And I'm just going to leave that on the stove there, covered, and waiting until it's time to eat. Okay, so now we add more. We're going to add in mushrooms. Now, y'all, your mushrooms, you don't have to add in as many as I'm going to. I'm probably not going to add in this whole pack. I bought a pound of mushrooms. You don't need a pound of mushrooms. So I added about a third of the pack, a pound of mushrooms. These are pre-chopped mushrooms, and a pound of them costs about $4 to $5. You can get non-pre-chopped mushrooms, chop them yourself. You can also get, what is it called? The smaller packs. I definitely could have bought a smaller pack. However, I have another meal I'm making this week that requires mushrooms. And these bigger ones, I'm just going to hit them with my spatula a few times just to break them up a little bit. More into bite-sized pieces. Mushrooms will shrink as they cook, so do not fret. It's just the really big ones that I'm cutting up here. That bad boy. And y'all could do this before you put them in here. However, I'm choosing to do it now just because it's an easy way and it makes less dishes. If y'all met me, I don't like doing dishes at all. So, get those all good and stirred in there. We are going to cover and let this sit for probably about 4 or 5-ish minutes. Just help those mushrooms go and get softened up before I add the rest of our veggies. Okay, so y'all can see everything back there is cooking, and as I said, we are leaving that to cook for about 4 or 5 minutes while we're going to do something else. So you are going to want to get a microwave safe container, and we are going to actually pre-cook some of our veggies that are going in this. It sounds crazy. It does, but it's not fully. I'm going to add about that much water into a microwave safe container. You can add more, you can add less. And then we are going to add our snow peas in. Now, snow peas, they cost about $2 to $3. Which you can get frozen ones and put them in here. I just ended up grabbing the fresh ones. They look too good for me to pass up. And I'm going to be using the remainder of my bag. Put that, I'm actually going to add a little bit more water than that. And we are going to pop this in the microwave for about 3 minutes. Okay? All I did was stir the meat and the mushrooms, onions, everything. I'm going to get ready to flip y'all back around, and whenever those get done, y'all watch me add them from there. And then we are just going to go and take our meat, turn it down because it's fully cooked. The mushrooms look great. Okay, I'm going to drain my sugar snap peas and then add them to the mix. So they have been drained and added in. Now, y'all, we're going to add the remaining bit of our very teriyaki. I keep saying it wrong. I don't think it needs all of it, but I have used a good, if not half, definitely like a third of the bottle for this. I did not have a full bottle. I'd already used it. And y'all, you could have done this with so many other different veggies. I think I made it about 2 weeks ago with beef and carrots and cucumbers, and it was perfect. So Last but not least, a few dashes of soy sauce. You don't need that much. Go ahead and let that cook a little bit longer. Now you can see that there's a lot of liquid down here, okay? And this is where another key ingredient that you should already have in your house comes into play. Cornstarch. We're going to use cornstarch to thicken it. Now, my way is a little, what could they say? Not correct. So we're just going to sprinkle some in there. Bring the mix that in. And as we're mixing it in, we're going to bring the liquid up to a boil. Okay. All that sauce is in the bottom of the pan. And we want to make sure we get it nice and thick and flavorful. So I'm going to turn the tip back up. Bring it to a boil. I'm actually going to try a piece really quickly. No, that's delicious. It doesn't need anything else. Let that boil for a few minutes. And while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go chop some carrots. And for that, I will also flip y'all back around. Yeah. Hold on. Wait, let me get my notepad. It has all my prices on it. I couldn't remember all this from head. Okay, so carrots, you can get a carrot for like $1. Here I just have some little carrots that I had in a bag in the fridge, and I was about to go buy a whole carrot for this meal. But you will just chop up a carrot just into little bite-sized pieces. You can, if you have a mandolin or a food processor, you can toss it in there for a few minutes and chop it up without having to do all this hard work. I got lost track of my story time. So yes, back to what I was saying. We used to always do something special for birthdays, and Chinese was one of them, or hibachi, whatever you want to say, Japanese. We did all of it, okay? And so I have a lot of fond memories going to a hibachi restaurant and everything for my great-grandfather's birthday. And, you know, it was wonderful. After he passed, actually, I have never been able to bring myself to go back to his favorite place. And it was delicious food. Like, I have no reason not to go back. It's just, it's odd, you know? And so over the years, I haven't really eaten hibachi as much as I would like to. Probably. I mean, I know it's not my favorite food, but I would still eat it and consume it and enjoy it. Let's stop real quick and go and handle this. Don't forget to stir the sauce as it's boiling. We're going to go ahead and bring it down a little bit from a medium heat to high-low heat. And we are going to keep chopping. So I haven't been back in a very long time, right? And I haven't been to many other ones since that one. But, you know, that's okay. I actually have made plenty of new memories with Chinese, Japanese, Asian-inspired foods, like this one tonight. I made my first version of this about 2 weeks ago, and my little sister who lives with me and my roommate absolutely enjoyed it. So I'm making another version of it for y'all tonight, actually. Well, for them and you and me. So okay, carrots are done being chopped. Y'all will need those for later. And what we have made, the other day I topped it with green onions, and it was absolutely fantastic. I'm actually going to get my roommate to come in here and try it for y'all to show y'all that not only she likes it, but I'm also going to try it to show y'all that I like it. So an extra thing you can add to this, a lot of people like the shrimp sauce that you can get at Asian restaurants. This one is a little bit of a pricier item, so it puts a damper on this whole meal being cost effective. But it is YumYum sauce, and it's about $3 to $4 for a small bottle or off-brand. This is just the one I had. It's Terry Ho's YumYum sauce. So yeah, give me just a minute, and we will be right back. Y'all, I am joined here by my lovely roommate and best friend, Paige.
Oh, she's being nice to me.
Shut up. We just had a lovely story time, and then now she comes in here and do this. So I'm putting YumYum sauce on mine. You don't have to. I am.
I was just going to eat yours.
Oh, okay. Well, here, eat mine. Go for it. Tell them how it is.
It's great.
I'm going to fix you. Okay, so I'm putting YumYum sauce on mine.
This is so much food.
I don't know if she will or won't, but I am. I dropped the snow cone. Thanks.
You're so welcome. Ooh, that was a lot. Didn't mean to do that, but all right. I'm just gonna put this what I would normally do. I'm not about to do it on camera.
Cheers. Get your bite ready. I want a cheers.
Don't rush me. Stop dropping shit on the counter.
It's fine.
Did you put mushrooms in this one?
Yes.
As if I didn't see the ingredients on the counter.
Not like everything's in front of you is what went in it. Cheers. Do you like it?
That's just great.
I like it. Couldn't get more of enthusiasm from her, but that's fine.
Sorry, it tastes great. Is that what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Sarcastically. Hey! We normally suck at that. It normally goes really horribly.
Then y'all, I have a bowl just for you. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining me on the Food for You podcast. We'll be back next time.
I restrained myself for a long, long time. I wanted to shut the end of the bottles.
Why'd you lick it on camera? Did you lick it on camera?
Yeah, of course I did.
Thank you so much for joining the Food for You podcast. Next time we'll be talking about relationships with food and how it affects your ability to cook at home. I hope y'all enjoy making this meal, and Paige and I are going to enjoy eating it.
Sure am.
Thank you.